This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. The views expressed are those of the host and the guest. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional regarding prostate cancer screening, diagnosis, or treatment. Hello and welcome. Welcome to my podcast. Welcome to Prior to Life Prostate Cancer Awareness. My name is Emerson. Glad to have you in for podcast number 3. Hey, going to deal with a couple issues tonight, or whenever you're listening to me. As you know, diagnosed with cancer, prostate cancer back in 2015, cancer-free in 2016. How did I get to that point of being cancer-free? How did I get to the point of them finding out that I had cancer, or me finding out that I had cancer? So I want to back up a little bit and talk about that. I didn't do that in the first podcast. I went in for my physical with Dr. Anthony Colza at IU for my regular physical. That's when I had what is called a digital rectal exam. That's when the doctor took your glove digital finger up my rear end to check my prostate and see how big it was. And that's when he came to the conclusion that my prostate didn't feel right in my prostate. It should be no bigger than a walnut, but something didn't feel right. Now, same day I had a blood test. I had what they call is a PSA. Not a public service announcement, but it was a PSA, a prostate-specific antigen. And what they're doing in the blood test is they're screening the prostate tissues for cancer. It should be at a certain number based off of your age. If you're 40 to 49, your PSA number should be no more than 0.25. That's normal. If you're 50 to 59, 2.6 to 3.5. That's normal. 60 to 69, and I was 65 at that time, so my level should have been 3.6 to 4.5. That would have been the normal. Well, my numbers weren't normal. My number was 9.323. Yes, that's kind of high. No, that's high. So I had problems. I had something going on down south with my prostate that wasn't looking too good. So that alarmed me. I actually went to my car and cried like a baby, because when someone tells you have prostate cancer, you actually just see your life pass before you. So I actually went to my car and I cried like a baby, because that was scared the hell out of me. They told me I had options. That's a good word, options. So I could just watch it, monitor it. I can have radiation, or I can go ahead and have my prostate removed. That was the option that I took. Like I said before, I'm not a doctor, so in your case, talk to your doctor. If you are diagnosed with prostate cancer, talk to your doctor so y'all can decide what is the best option for you. So I decided to have my prostate removed. I had what they call a radical prostatectomy. A radical prostatectomy. And what it is robotic assistant operation. When they use, and I'll just read this, they use small incisions, about 4 or 5 of them, in my stomach, in my abdomen, and through the system is controlled by the surgeon, and they were cutting out my prostate from the inside. Whew. And they pull them out through the little bitty holes, and which is much better than what they did way back in the day when he had open surgery, when there would be one large cut and they take your prostate out. Boy, I'm so glad they don't do it that way, boy. That don't even sound right. So that's what I did. I had a radical prostatectomy to remove my prostate. Now, like all operations, you have side effects. And incontinence Incontinence is one of the side effects. That's a problem trying to hold your urine back. So I had to be fitted with a catheter. And a catheter, as you know, as you maybe don't know, but with the catheter, it goes up your penis. It's attached through your penis. And therefore, so when you pee, it goes into a bag. And so I had to have that. I had two bags. I had a leg bag, and I also had a bigger bag when I went to bed at nighttime. So it's connected to a tube down into your bladder. So when you have to pee, it goes through the tube and then into the bag. Even during that time, I had a job interview. I had a job interview at Indiana Black Expo. They had a youth position, youth mentoring position, and boy, I wanted that job bad. This is about a week after I had my operation, and I was still had my catheter up in me and everything, and I was still wearing the bag. I had one that called my pistol, then I had the big bag. So I tied the pistol on my leg, the pistol bag on my leg, put on my suit. I went down to Indiana Black Expo, 23rd, 20-something on Meridian, where we was located on North Meridian Street. And I went in there and I interviewed. Before I got to the room, though, they didn't have an elevator, so I had to walk up the steps to get to the interview room. My clothes, I had my suit on, but I couldn't button my pants because I still had my catheter on. I still had my Band-Aids on. I still wrapped on because it was just less than a week after the operation. So I still had my Band-Aids on, I had my catheter on, I had my suit on, I had them pushed together so you couldn't see nothing. And I walked up those steps and I went to that interview. Yeah, I did. No, I didn't get the job. But I wanted it. I wanted that job bad. But then I checked into it, and they never filled the position. Nobody ever got that job. I don't know what happened. But no one got that job, probably because it was supposed to be for me. And I guess they took the job down. And that's the one thing about when you do get cancer. Life still goes on. And thank God I was able to go to the interview. Thank God I was still here. Thank God they found the cancer early. And that is really, 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 really a blessing. Because if I didn't go in for the physical, then they never would have found the cancer. The cancer would have found me, because a lot of times you don't know you got a problem until the doctor finds it, because you don't know what to look for. The telltale signs are, I didn't think I had any telltale signs, but I had one. And the one that I had I didn't know I had was my pee string. I used to go to the bathroom. I used to, I could shoot my pee string. I could put out a forest fire, but it started getting weak. And as it got weak, I thought it was just because I'm getting old, but it wasn't that. And that was a telltale sign. That was an early warning for me that something in my prostate wasn't right, because I was going to the bathroom. I had a very weak stream. I couldn't put out a match. It was that weak. So that was mine. But I didn't know I had that. I didn't know that was a sign until after the fact. But I found out that it was one. And so in closing, as you talk to your doctor, if you're 39 and 40, you talk to your doctor, talk to him about your prostate and find out what he wants you to do. If you do the DRE, the digital rectal exam, just be prepared to bend over. It's one of those things that you don't really want to do, but you got to do, because the only way they can check that prostate is go from your rear end with that gloved finger and feel your prostate. You got to do it. And shucks, I'd rather do that than be dead. I'd rather do that than not be around to see my grandchildren. I'd rather do that. I'd rather do that. And then getting a blood test to check your PSA, then if your number is right, because you need to know what your number is. Like I said, my number was 9.323. Now 9.233 was a pretty high number, but I've been reading this book by Charles Williams, That Black Men Might Live, and when Dr. Williams, when he did consent to an office visit with a new doctor, and they checked his PSA, His PSA, and I'm not lying, y'all, his PSA was 172.3 in this book. In this book, 172.3. Mine was 9.323. Dr. Williams was in stage 4 cancer. No, you got to talk to your doctor when you get to 39 and 40 and find out what your number is. You got to get your prostate checked. This podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and is not intended as medical advice. The views expressed are those of the host and the guest. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional regarding prostate cancer screening, diagnosis, or treatment.